Hey everyone, it's Patti Lucia with Mother Earth Sanctuary Cafe, inviting you once again into my little humble kitchen to share another recipe with you today that you can make for the family. Today I wanted to play with minestrone soup. Now, minestrone soup is not one of those really exciting soups. You know, you say, oh, I'm making minestrone soup, and I'm like, yeah. I've even had that experience in my cafe. I'll have a few soups listed on the board, and I'll say, I just made some fresh minestrone soup today. You know, because I get really excited, you know, when I make a batch of any kind of soup. And folks are like, yeah, minestrone. So minestrone soup is not one of the more exotic, romantic soups. And honestly, it has a tradition. It goes way back. And it actually is a poor man's soup. So the association with minestrone soup is like the poor man's soup. It actually predates, by the way, the Roman Empire. So it was a poor man's soup way back, you know, when they were putting different stuff in there than perhaps what we are putting in. They would put spelt and other things in there to give it some gusto. And so we do it a little differently now, but it is literally a soup that predates the Roman Empire. And honestly, that kind of makes me a little excited. I'd like to find more things that predate the Roman Empire, but that's another subject. Anyway, so I am going to make some minestrone soup. I'm going to show you how to make minestrone soup that's going to ignite the excitement about minestrone soup again for your friends and for your family, for your loved ones. All right, this is a vegan, gluten-free minestrone soup. And what I think is most important in this soup and in most soups is fresh herbs. Fresh herbs will do it for you. So what I've done is I've kind of prepared a lot of already what I'm going to be putting in my soup. And because this has you know, a fair amount of ingredients in there, if you're in a time crunch or whatever, you can prepare some of this stuff ahead of time like I did today. So what you're going to need, let me just start with the herbs because I'm most excited about the herbs that go in this soup. I have parsley, I have sage, parsley, sage, rosemary, and is this sounding like Simon and Garfunkel? Of course it is. And thyme. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. So here's the thing. If you decide you're going to make this soup, you may not even need to look at this video again. You can just sing the song because these are the four main herbs that are in this soup that make it really, really fantastic. I strongly suggest that you use fresh herbs. Go to the produce market, get yourself your herbs, and take the time to prepare each of the herbs. I'll tell you how much I use. Now, I used a full head of parsley, or the bunch. You know, like when you go into the produce market, they sell a lot of this stuff in bunches. So if you want to just kind of measure it out, think of it as, you know, if you're going to make a big batch of soup, then use a bunch each, you know, and just kind of prepare it like that. And what I do with the parsley, like I do with many of my herbs, is I take the leaves off. I really do. I just kind of take the leaves off of the stems, and I mainly use the leaves. And then I have chopped them up, and I have put them in this bowl. So there you see, that's my parsley. That's kind of a head of parsley taken off the stem and chopped up kind of roughly, not too fine. I like to have the leaves floating around in there. I also have some sage, and what I've done is when you get sage, when you get it from the produce stand, it also does come in bunches, and you'll see that it is on stems, and I'll use about 5 or 6 of these, and once again I will take the leaves off the stems, which is what I did here, and I chopped them up. Thyme, there's a bunch of it. Thyme is going to take the most time. to prepare, and I've talked about this in my how to make the potato kale soup recipe that I have another video for, and have demonstrated that when you're working with thyme, it is really best to de-leaf the stem from the top down. The leaves, whoops, the leaves will come off a bit easier if you do that, as opposed to trying to get it moving that way. So take your time, as always, with the thyme, stem by stem, get those leaves off. And I just chopped it a little bit. Rosemary, I love this stuff. Rosemary, it smells so good. So I used, if you get a big bunch like this, you may need not to use the whole thing. So again, I used about 6 or 7 of these stems, and I took the leaves off, and again, I go in the opposite direction, and I'm able to pull the leaves off, and then I chop them roughly. So basically what I have on my board right now is my parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, all ready to go in. I also used my onions are about this size, so I used about 5 of them. I'm not shy with the onion and the garlic. And when you're making a soup, I would recommend that don't be shy with the onion and garlic. It really is going to be so much of your flavor base. Even people who are like, yeah, I don't like a lot of onion and garlic. Yeah, you will. You will. I don't say that. I just mean, you can think it. Don't say it. But, about five of these chopped finely with a couple handfuls of garlic cloves, peeled garlic cloves. You can put it in the food processor or chop it all up together. But you really want a lot of onion and garlic to begin your base. And that's what we're going to begin the soup with. About 5 or 6 stalks of celery. I will use, I try to use all organic vegetables. And I know that that's really hard. Most of us are on a budget, and we can't afford, most people cannot afford Whole Foods. And that's unfortunate that organic food has become so corporate, and it is so expensive for many, many reasons we don't have to get into in this video. So there are a couple of things you can do. There are some foods that are more vulnerable to kind of holding pesticides and things like that if you don't buy organic, and you may have already done that kind of research, but you can do that kind of research. Celery, if you're on a budget and you can only get certain vegetables organic, pay that little extra, but not all of them, then I would suggest that celery be one of the vegetables that you get organic, just because it's so vulnerable. And you can see why. Celery has so much fluid in it. It's so much water. Well, where does it come from? It comes from the soil. So if the soil is filled with, inorganic fertilizers and pesticides and things like that, then that's what's in the stalk of your celery. So it is one of those vegetables that's far more vulnerable to being, certainly less healthy if we eat it, and it's not organic. So I always use organic celery, even if I can't afford to use all of my vegetables organically, grown organically. I try to always have organic celery. So that's kind of our recommendation. I used about 4 carrots. I like to use organic carrots as well, and I've sliced them, and I've kind of chopped my celery and my carrots, and my celery and my carrots are all ready to go. All right, so we're at like 5-6 stalks of celery, about 5 carrots cut up nicely, and these are all set to go. All right. And that's pretty much what I'm going to share at this time. We do have, there's a step 2, but let me get this thing going first. We are going to, as you'll see if you watch my videos, especially my soup videos, it always starts with the onion and garlic in the pan. What can I say? You want to make sure you have I use olive oil. I love using olive oil. You know, I'm an Italian girl. I use olive oil. Some people will use other oils. There's some things about olive oil at a certain temperature, you know, not being good for you. And some people use coconut oil or whatever. I do not recommend canola oil, you know, or some of those oils that were touted as being better for us, but are actually not. So I use a really good olive oil when I am cooking up my base. I am now just putting in the onion and the garlic there, and we're going to start cooking that up nicely. Get that going in the pan in the olive oil. As you can see, it's a lot. It's a lot. This will cook down, but it is a lot of onion and garlic in there. What I am going to do is add my herbs to this base. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my parsley in, my cut up rosemary, my sage, and my thyme. There we go. And so now we're ready for our next step. Now they have been cooking for about 7 minutes or so. Okay, so it's not that long to get it to here. You know, it's 7-8 minutes or so. What I am now going to do is I'm going to add the carrots and celery. And like I said, this will go very quickly if you have everything already, you know, chopped up. Then it's really just kind of 1, 2, 3. And I'll stir this around a bit, get everything all mixed up there. And the color is really beautiful. I love the color of the minestrone soup. I love all the different colors in there. Now what I've done is I've gotten 4 cans of organic diced tomato. And I've kept it all in its liquid. And so I am going to add that to my mixture. So the liquid, the diced tomato, everything. Now, sometimes what you can do is you can take a part of that mixture and the diced tomato, say, and put it in the blender and mix it up so that it makes your stock even more, you know, more thick. If you want to do that. Today I'm not doing that. I am just adding all of this to it at this time. My minestrone with kale. I'm going to add that kale now, and it adds just another layer of both nutrition and beautiful color. And this minestrone soup will probably be ready to eat. I would serve it in about 5 to 10 minutes after the kale has kind of cooked in there a little bit. And as most soups, or particularly tomato-based soups, this soup already tastes good and will taste better tomorrow and the next day. They keep well in the refrigerator, but you won't really keep it very long because this is a soup that goes very, very quickly.